Okay, so we are going to call to order the PRCAC Advisory Committee meeting for Thursday, July 17th at 7 p.m. First item is approval of the agenda.
I want to make an amendment to,
What amendment would you like?
under public maintenance, I would add culvert and, the side of road maintenance.
Right,
Roadside maintenance. yes.
roadside maintenance, right away maintenance, okay. Anything else? Okay,
I'll second that. No problem.
okay, all in favor? Next we have approval of the June 26 minutes. I will make a motion to approve those. Thank you, Brian. All in favor? And next we have our first public comment. We'll start with the room. Anyone in the room have something that they would like to bring up, discuss? Okay, you're seeing none. Anyone online? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. Correspondence, the only correspondence that I know that we have is regarding items that are on the agenda. Business regarding the fuel lines. So the ones that discuss correspondence then. Okay, so new business, culvert maintenance and roadside maintenance.
So, I called Public Works, 10 days ago to ask them to please come, mow the sides of the, roads. The Michael who has been engaged with the stormwater management. I didn't make a note of who's coming. That's who it's. And, you know, it's founded again about how important it is that the sides of our roads are very narrow roads be mowed so that people can safely walk on the sides of the roads, push their baby buggies, ride their bikes, et cetera, without feeling like they're taking a choice of impaling themselves on some sticks or twigs or weeds on the side of the road or being run over. He explained that it is in their budget to do it one time in the summer. And furthermore, that they are not even legally required to keep them clear. So I want to suggest that we as a committee take up a community effort. In other words, the bottom line from that conversation is if we want it done, we're going to have to do it ourselves. We're going to have to make it happen. And of course, in a lot of places, there are people who have the equipment and they are doing it along APA. Brian Calder does a lot of that. A lot of people who have maintained it just have short grass, not a lot of weeds. But I'm hoping that maybe we can recruit homeowners, someone with perhaps even the golf course, although in light of recent developments, I think that's unlikely, to maintain the sides of the road so that it makes it safe for our visitors and ourselves. Any comments? Anybody agree or disagree or think otherwise? And I don't know about what is involved with the fact that it's in the right of way.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, it just begs the argument that the county can't keep it safe for us, and so we need to keep it safe for us.
Does this include the ditches, mowing the ditches?
And that's a whole other, that's the next part. Yeah, that's the next part of the conversation that.
How frequently is it done to other communities?
Sorry?
How frequently is it done in other communities?
Also just once.
Once a year, once in the summer, yeah, that's according to what he says, that's the allocated budget. And they have already done it, and this year, they did in the spring. I took issue with that because there are places where the weeds are above my knee. And I said, I don't believe that the entire, point was properly done. I have taken photographs and are compiling those, and will send him that. And then, but before I did that, I wanted to raise this with us to see what, was possible.
I would like to try and actually speak with Elizabeth Costa.
Okay,
And as she is the head of that department, find out if that is actually. And if that is the case. How the county on a legal standpoint. That we could proceed to do so as a community effort, so that we're not causing a problem. It should not require a right-of-way permit, but working in tandem with her, so, right?
I figured you'd know the chain of command.
Yeah, cause I know, like, to put in a culvert or anything like that, you need a revocable encroachment permit and things like that.
Mhm.
And you do have to be careful working when you are in the right of way, because there would be tell standards and other things. But yeah, I would say the best thing to do is start with having a talk with Elizabeth.
Okay.
And just having that open conversation of how can we help you help us.
Great, okay, so do you want to have that conversation?
I can start that with Elizabeth. yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, then I will reply to Michael with photos of what things look like now.
Elliot,
I just have a suggestion, sorry, it's not public comment right now.
that's fine.
Would it help at all for the fire department to declare this fire risk?
Well, right now the fire department goes around and they weed eat around the fire hydrants.
Yeah.
So. I think they would declare if a certain area was a fire risk when they were out doing the hydrants, because it's.
Yeah.
Would have to be dry grass. And I think right now along the edge of our roads, it's not
Still
dry
pretty
grass.
green.
It's nice, healthy, happy
Weeds.
green, right? But yeah, the fire department goes out and they have the map of where all of the hydrants are, and you'll usually see the fire department crews out like on Saturday. And people are like, what are they doing on this road? I'm like, pulling weed eaters out and weed eating so that they can see where their fire hydrants are. Okay, and then the next was
Well,
culvert.
yeah, the culverts and the ditches, of course. The county does, and dig the ditches.
Yeah.
I've never seen all of Point Roberts ditch dug at the same time, ditch cleared all at the same time. It's obviously 32 miles of roadside. It's a massive issue, but it's also a major issue for stormwater management, which he mentioned at the time. But I'm thinking that it would be really terrific if we launched a community-wide effort to hire a contractor to come out and clear as many culverts as people were willing to have that done. And I don't know what, how we would be involved but it's not getting done now, based on what I can tell. And it could be really critical winter time. So now would be the time to start that project.
Well, because culverts underneath a roadway
Mm-hmm,
are done by Whatcom County.
mm-hmm,
Culverts that are under a driveway
mm-hmm,
are the responsibility of the property owner.
exactly.
So. I know we put it out a few years ago when we did have the flooding. Please clean your culverts.
Mm-hmm.
Please go out there, get the debris out. The only other thing I can think of to do is, one, do that again. And two, say, if you are unable to clear your culvert. Get together with all of your neighbors on your street. And then do a block party of cleaning the culverts on the street. or contacting one of the landscaping companies. And we could work with Michelle at Nielsen to kind of create a separate little list at Nielsen's of, because everybody goes in there of who can clean culverts. So those people who can't clean it themselves, or it's one that's really impacted that needs.
Mhm. I was just
Something extra.
thinking if we declared a certain day, clean culvert day,
Yeah,
and, and did a lot of social media and a lot of lead up to it. And then, I have called a couple of companies in Bellingham. The ideal thing, of course, would be for somebody to do it here.
we have local landscape companies that do it.
Okay,
There are local landscape companies that I know that will go and clean somebody's culvert.
okay, so, let's share that. I'll contact them, see if that's something that they'd be interested in, dedicating a whole day to
Yeah,
it. And then just beat the drum to get people to sign up, pay for it and get it done.
yeah.
Like,
Work with your community, work with your street.
Yeah.
Go out and,
mhm,
'cause it's one of those things that cleaning a culvert, depending on how long your culvert
mhm,
is daunting to do one person.
yeah,
But if you've got 2 or 3 people
yes,
with, rakes, shovels, poles, you can actually get them cleaned out and unplugged.
mhm,
And then it's like, you do in front of my house, and then, okay, we're going over to your house, and then we're gonna go to the next neighbor's house.
yeah.
And neighbors working together to improve their own
Yeah,
situation.
I just think that that's more likely to happen if we, if we declare a day, or, really make a big thing about getting those culverts cleaned before the rains begin.
Make a poster that,
Yeah,
Or-
I'll ask Daryl to do that.
make a poster about, hey, this August, get together with your neighbors.
Mhm,
Get your culvert cleaned before we get the fall rains and,
right,
kind of make it an August.
yeah, it should be an August thing while the Canadians are still here.
Yeah.
Mhm, before Labor Day.
But
Okay, I'll take that on.
I don't have a culvert from my house, so I'm glad.
I do.
I cleaned the one across the street from me before though. Okay, sorry, I lost our agenda, because I forgot to prepare mine. Okay, so now we are old business broadband. I don't have any new updates from either Would Be Tell or from the PD on the status of their permits and elimination. So I guess next would be the cable lines, which is your baby.
Yeah, ongoing. So, I haven't heard back from PSC. So I wrote to Mike and just for an official word, so we know where things stand. And I sent you all an email this morning. Andrew from, the county, had written a note to Bob, is he here?
Bob's here.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I'll-
Stating that he needs to get franchise rights. And it was kind of left there, but still have not heard back from PSC. Because the last thing I heard from the county from Public Works was PSC had, an umbrella an umbrella permit to take all the cables down. They never told the county otherwise that they weren't gonna take them down, so it was at a standstill, and then we heard from Bob that he was, gonna repair the cables and take it on. So that's where we're at. So the email I sent you this morning was the latest. Maybe you can let us in on where you're at with the.
Sure. Well, it's fairly fresh.
Okay,
But I took over the cable network about 3 weeks ago. So was mine. After 3 years of trying to deal with a company called Sky Communications, were completely unresponsive. They let the whole rights the cable rights slip into, cancellation status. The process of putting all that together again, I haven't heard from, sorry, did you say that Andrew sent me an email?
It's from, he's the real estate division for Whatcom County. Or, well, and I will give you his exact,
Mayor? Probably did.
No, real estate.
Andrew Hester, real estate coordinator, Whatcom County Public Works. He emailed you,
Yeah, I got that, you know.
yeah,
Sorry, I thought you were referring to Andrew.
No.
Okay.
no,
Yeah, I have that. We're working on it. And we're in contact with PSC. PSC is concerned, about taking down the network. If it has value to the community, if it can, make a positive impact on broadband, and it can, for sure. And just as long as we're labeling stuff, it's an HFC network. It's hybrid fiber coax. So, I mean, it is a thing. It is, state of the market. The cellular carriers are now deploying off it. Meaning that their cellular carriers meeting 5G, not running around looking for someone's rooftop or some building's rooftop. They are now mounting small cells, as they have been doing for some number of years, on the cable strand. It's fully permitted, state of the market. It significantly reduces their cost of providing community-wide cellular coverage at 5G. Something we're a long way away from.
Now you had mentioned you had a crew here on Wednesday last week taking down the cables that were hanging or on the ground.
I did, just a purely good faith effort on our part. There were cables on the ground. We saw that as a risk to the public and anybody who might be mowing the grass into the ditches. Last thing we want to read about is some, the county worker tackling his equipment in our cable. So we took that down and moved it, but not part of build out or anything. It was just purely a good faith effort to be a good neighbor and a good citizen and remove the risk.
Well, thank you.
So it looked to me like you had a blank look when we said that Andrew says that you need a permit.
No, I didn't. Yeah, no,
Franchise.
I just,
Franchise permit.
it's just whoever. Sorry,
There are two
I-
languages that the county
Yeah,
confuses.
yeah, no, I'm aware of that, and we're working on it, and we're also working on the renewal of the full rights of spring.
Okay, do you have any kind of a timeline on all of that?
Soon. They seem to be pushing me hard, so I assume that means that, they want it done fairly quickly, so.
Well, if it goes through, I think you'll get your Wi-Fi up and running all over the point before anybody else. So I'm all for that. And thank you for stepping up and doing that. for the
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, if we build out on our plans, Point Roberts will be the best connected community in Washington State, period. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, that's exciting.
What?
That would be refreshing.
What? Well, it could be more than broadband in your home, and so everybody's got a smartphone. Everybody wants broadband, so we're the only ones they're in a position to supply that. Broadband, right.
so next item would be drainage master plan.
Yes. Okay, contacted Eric LeGray, the, at Public Works, who in inimitable, government fashion directed me to someone else, to, Craig. Let's see, but Craig Ellison.
Yeah, he's the head of,
He is, yeah, he is the head of Stormwater, and Greg and I have not connected. So I'm gonna try to get a hold of him again tomorrow. But, what Eric was suggesting was a much more complicated than what I thought we were doing. I thought we were just gonna say, talk to the council and say, please adopt this.
You know, the
Eric?
comprehensive plan.
Yeah, covered that essentially, and, but he had, excuse me, Eric had suggested that we actually go all the way to looking forward to establish the local stormwater utility district. Might as well try to get it done. That way that certainly the council will. Anyway, I'm going to ask, I know, I'm shaking my head too. I'm gonna ask for a couple more information from them. They did direct me to previous rate studies that were done for other areas, Lake Wacom and over in Blaine and stuff. And
But I'm fairly sure to create a stormwater district, it has to go on the ballot.
exactly, that's my understanding too.
I'm like, so it'd be nice to have it accepted by the council and put into the comp plan.
Right,
And then if we want to move forward with
right.
getting a ballot proposal that, or the council placing it on a ballot proposal
No,
for us for next year, but I'd like to see it on the comp plan.
I'm with you on that, but at the same time, I don't want to just turn off the county
Yeah.
workers. So I'll talk to them
Yeah,
and I'll bring back whatever their reasoning is. At this point, it may well be that they're just, look, if we're gonna get this done, it's gotta be this way.
yeah,
But at the same time, the political reality that exists for both them and ourselves is pretty obvious.
yeah.
So it's, stay tuned, one of those. One of the other things that we were contacted by Scanlon, right?
John Callan?
Yeah, about the transportation benefit district funds.
Yeah,
Do you want that on a future agenda? And I apologize for jumping.
yeah, we'll have to put that on a future agenda because it actually is something that needs to be published if we're gonna talk about TBD funds.
Yeah, okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay, then our next item is the forestry permits.
Yeah.
Which we are signed up for. I have all of the assistance of our good buddy Bennett there. I have all of the range and township and section numbers that apply to us here. My only difficulty is every time I ask, they send me something, but of course it doesn't go to me.
Yeah, it goes to me.
It goes to you. So we'll have to coordinate
Yep.
the final part of that.
Jared knows all about that because that's the YouTube account was the same way.
Right, well, yeah. Okay, I believe that completes my presentation.
So, I was sort of out of it the last meeting. Can you give me more information about timber permits? Because I have some comments.
Oh, okay,
Where are we what are we
These-
doing?
we have signed up with the state to have them notify us when they're considering a timber permit. I'm not sure at this point how long, what the time frame is on response. I'll get that, once they, okay, that we can get the permits
Mhm,
prior to them being,
mhm.
and that, minimally, that's what we can do at this point. We're not in a position that we're arguing to change state law or anything, so.
That does give you the option of going into the hearing and arguing against it.
Yeah.
And unless you got notified ahead of time. The thing is to get the notification so that it can go out to the community, and if the community doesn't want it being cut, they make the argument against it, and that's your best bet for stopping. Any type of timber cutting.
Well, and John Scanlon was sitting next to me, at the lieutenant governor, talk. When I brought up the fact that 5 acres clear cut in Point Roberts is
Was it John Scanlon or was it Joe Tennant?
oh, sorry, Joe Tennant, so,
It's like, I don't remember seeing John, I remember seeing.
So
Joe.
sorry, Joe Tennant. He made a point of speaking to me about, yeah, it totally makes sense that we would ask Department of Natural Resources to consider Point Roberts as a very separate environment and ecology system, and to design some rules that apply only to Point Roberts rather than to the state. 5 acres out of I roughly figured we had around 350 acres of wooded forest here in Point Roberts versus 23 million forested acres in the state. So 5 acres over there is, here is a big deal. And it astonishes me that we haven't approached it from that perspective to look for our own very succinct and very different set of standards and rules for Point Roberts, especially in light of the fact that people are clear cutting or have clear cut acres and acres and then just left them there. So again, I would like for us to begin that process of, I will offer to follow up with Joe Timmons, sorry, Joe, and see where we can go with that if the committee thinks that it's a good idea.
You might want to touch base with PDS first and have a conversation with PDS, because currently the way Whatcom County Code is written, Whatcom County does timber permits inside of like the urban growth area or in certain quantitative areas for, you know, wetlands, slopes, different hazards. And then the rest are done through Department of Natural Resources. So it might be best to have a conversation with PDS to how, because it's gonna affect them as well. Right? For people knowing where they're actually applying for their permit. Are they doing their timber permit through their fill and grade through PDS? Are they doing it through DNR? And making sure, because then you actually end up opening loopholes if you don't have the discussions with the other agencies. And then maybe working with PDS, and then PDS can work with you with DNR to make sure that it is a smooth process and there is no loopholes, and always best to, you know, have that discussion with them.
I kind of wonder why that hasn't occurred to PDS or Whatcom County previously.
So I can't remember, I looked it up, it actually hasn't been that long since Whatcom County has actually issued timber permits. It was, I think it was, I want to say it was 2014 that Whatcom County started to take on that section, and the rest, before that, everything was Department of Natural Resources. So don't quote me on 2014, but I think that's what what it said. I have the document. Just for, yeah, it was in urban growth areas and certain geologically hazard areas that Whatcom County does the timber permits.
Okay. Apparently Mark Robbins didn't send it to, yes, he did actually.
It should be, I sent it to him, and it should have been at the bottom of an email chain, because I also sent it to, it was a response to Sharon Schumacher, because she was asking the question of how it worked.
Right.
And I found the language out of the county code.
So this probably should have been in the correspondence.
Yeah.
Shall I read it now?
Sure.
Okay, so this is from Mark Robbins in response to Sharon Shoemake. He CC'd Joe Timmons, John Scanlon, and us. He says, "Hi Sharon, I wanted to officially renew discussion of logging on Point Roberts, which I initiated earlier to your personal email account. I'm including Rep. Timmons and our at-large member of County Council, John Scanlon, in this thread. As I wrote earlier, it's my understanding that forestry practices are controlled solely by DNR, which issues state logging permits, including clear cutting, that are not subject to any local, county community zoning, land use, tree retention, or character plan restrictions or limitations in communities such as Point Roberts. I would love to learn that my understanding is incorrect, and in fact, Whatcom County can assert some control. However, if I correctly interpret the forest practices information provided by Allison Calder, it seems that Washington State has preempted local government here. Comments about that?
Well, not really.
Okay.
That's kind of overstating.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I raised the issue due to some clear cutting going on in Point Roberts off Johnson and Mill Roads pursuant to a DNC permit that concerns many residents. It seems to me that preemption of local review and approval processes may make sense in vast, remote, and largely unpopulated areas, but not on the 5 square mile tip of a residential peninsula. While Point Roberts clings to and treasures its rural character, in reality, we are more of a suburban neighborhood. There remain some large tracts of privately owned mature forests that residents, while respecting property rights, would not wish to see clear cut. On June 14th, you responded, can county government put in restrictions? Local areas have tree ordinances, etc. I can ask about it if you don't know. That was from Sharon. That was a question from Sharon Schiff. Now it's Mark. I wonder if you have had an opportunity to research this issue yet. Residential land use and building permits issued by Whatcom County PDS do carry tree canopy retention requirements reflected in WCC 20.72, the special Point Roberts Special District, and perhaps elsewhere in county code. Apparently, logging permits issued by DNR are not subject to such county restrictions and limitations. At the Point Roberts Taxpayer Association AGM on July 10, the membership passed a motion directing Point Roberts taxpayers advocate that Washington State create an exemption for Point Roberts so we can limit or restrict commercial logging. We will be discussing this at our next Board of Directors meeting on August 14th. Any insight, clarifications, or suggestions anyone on this thread might have by then to inform our discussion would be very much appreciated.
So the forest practice, I was wrong on the year, good thing no one quoted me. As of August 1st, 2022, Whatcom County will be the sole regulatory agency over all forest practices as defined in Washington Administrative Code. 222-16-050 within urban growth areas in Class 4 General Conversion Forest Practice countywide. DNR will retain regulatory jurisdiction over Class 1, 2, 3, and 4 special forest practices outside of urban growth areas. Currently, so if the project involves harvest of forested land, you have to complete a clearing and conversion section of the Whatcom County application. And do a DNR, and then you have to go get your tax ID for forestry and such. But that's actually the year that it happened. So as of August 1st, 2022 is when Whatcom County did the urban growth areas instead of DNR.
So that means that Whatcom County issued the permit for clear cutting 5 acres?
No, because we're not an urban growth area.
Ah, okay.
An urban growth area
The
is,
landlord, not the urban.
yeah, an urban growth area are areas like on the edge of Blaine, there's urban growth area, Linden, Bellingham,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Areas such as that.
Mhm.
That is the only areas in which Whatcom County regulates forestry. And I think forestry is, if I remember correctly, 5,000 board feet. Requires a forestry permit, anything over 5,000.
Maybe I have a further question. I know it's been brought up recently about incorporation. We were incorporated when this all being moved, right? And we have control over the forestry and the survey.
Not necessarily.
That would still be the state.
Yeah, most places most places forest practices are done by the state, which is the Department of Natural Resources. You know, for proper control and such, making sure people have. You know, they're selling it appropriately and all of that, and that they get taxed on it appropriately. for harvesting timber and things like that. They have a timber license, they have a Department of Revenue number.
So Bellingham would have the same. They,
I don't know, depends on everyone, every place is different. It's not one of those universal answers of, oh, well, but a lot of cities don't have forestable land.
But so you're-
Much anymore.
I think if you incorporate, you probably be changing your status. Then. Well, I know there's been a lot of talk because of how concentrated. Houses we have out there, but, I was just wondering if that would have an impact on it. So make the whole argument that if there was.
It might not, depends, right?
I think
Actually, that's not an easy, straightforward answer.
you can't get rid of it.
No. Interestingly enough, on a totally separate note, going through old documents from the Parks District in the office, we were going through the old book. And we were actually reading the old township papers from Claire Roberts,
I've done that.
because we were a township prior to 1968. So that was interesting read. Okay.
I'm just wondering, would it be worth inviting somebody from the forestry department to the point? So they can see firsthand what it looks like and why we're concerned? That might help our board to be exempt.
It certainly would hurt. I'm going to make a motion that we work with Sharon Shoemake and Joe Timmons to lobby state and DNR to declare Point Roberts a separate special district.
I would prefer that we go and have a conversation with Whatcom County and PDS first. Because we still are part of Whatcom County,
Okay.
and we need to continue the forward motion that we have, like with Public Works, of working together and at least, right? You know, just same with,
Okay.
the health department.
So I'll retract my motion and say.
Start with Mark Personius.
Yeah, okay.
I'm willing to help with that.
Are you gonna have the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great if you guys can start with Mark Personius and then go from there, because that will also, if you are gonna work with Sharon and Joe and Alicia, that that conversation has been started, because it does also need.
And can we keep Mark in the loop as well, what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you got that? That's in here. Just you switch
And they'll
the.
contact Joe Simmons regarding change laws to the county gets permit authority, but we're gonna start with Mark Personius.
Okay, thank you.
And Clint's gonna hold that there.
There was some history, when I lived in Island County, there was a lot of their tree removal, the same issue that I was involved in, so.
And were they successful in getting some?
Well, it's a different situation, but some of the same things apply, so
Mhm.
just some background there to make.
Okay, so next we have second public comment. I'm gonna start with the room. Does anyone in the room have a question, concern, something that they think we should be doing and aren't doing? That's always my fun question. Anyone online? Okay, seeing none, you did. Did you have something?
I have a question. The county did issue a permit for that project to happen. So the county could have prevented that project from happening. But because they issued encroachment permits and other types of permits that the logging company needed to access that 5 acres, that logging company was able to proceed. However, the county could have denied that encroachment permit, which would have prevented them from accessing the 5 acres that they clear cut.
That's good to know, PJ. How did you come to that information?
I read the county permit that was issued for that encroachment.
But the county can't legally deny you an encroachment permit and access to your property.
Yeah, it's an admin. permit.
It's an administrative permit for record keeping. It's not something that they can deny legally.
Well, they can say this project doesn't match the Point Roberts overlay, so we're denying it for that reason. They still had access to their property through their normal easement. They could access their property with cars and stuff. It's just that they wanted to use that particular area on Johnson Road, that big, large area there. It's actually not owned by anyone. The county granted them access to use that property in order to clear cut 3 acres, which is a violation of the county code. So why did the county issue a permit that would violate the county code? This is really the question.
It's an easement access.
It was an easement access to violate the county code. And also, I mean, if you were in downtown San Francisco and somebody wanted to come clear cut Golden Gate Park, I mean, the state of California is not going to issue that. They're not going to issue that to cut down a park in Seattle either. You know, the local regulations do matter, and the county regulations should matter. And I just like to say, if we were a city, then our city regulations would matter as well. So that's all I'll say for that.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll remind everyone that Saturday, if you didn't sign up, there is still space for walk-ins for the septic class held by Whatcom County Health Department. Starts at 10 a.m. In the dining room here at the community center. And it ends at noon. Great information, great knowledge. So if you didn't sign up, I would recommend you do. There's also great incentives for rebates for septic inspections or pumpings for completing the class.
Well, do you have to retake the class every so many years or?
Every 3 years?
So I have one more year.
Every 3 years.
Just wanted to make sure we have one more year.
I will warn everyone, so this year we're doing 1. Last year we did 2, the previous year we did 3. Hopefully we'll at least be able to get 1 class again next year, but it will be dependent on staffing at.
The rebates are definitely worth it.
Really?
For a couple hours of your time,
Mhm.
the rebates are definitely worth it.
Okay.
Well, I sent in my application, I never got anything back.
Just call the girls, they'll fix it.
Oh, okay,
I'll give you the girls' name to help.
okay, thank you.
And with that, I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn and thank everyone for coming.
Right, second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank y'all.
Thanks, see ya.